All right, I'm ready.
Nick, decidedly non-North American bend to the way the draft worked out for you guys. Did you think that might be a possibility coming in? Was that just coincidence?
Yeah, probably a little bit of both. I think, there was obviously a lot of players that we were interested from Europe, and then sometimes it's just the way the list shakes out that's how it went. I don't know if that was the plan per se going into it to go to Europe that much, but we really like all the players that we were able to get in Europe, and just the way the list shakes out sometimes.
I believe it's the third consecutive year your team has drafted a player from Russia. Just given all the things that are going on with that country right now, what concerns, if any, are there about taking a player from that country?
Yeah, obviously, it's not a easy thing that these kids are going through with everything that's going on there, and there might be some challenges in terms of getting these kids over, but I think we've seen lately that the kids are interested in coming over to North America and playing in North America with other teams, prospects that have been signing. So I just think sometimes you look at it as a value, an opportunity to get a kid later in the draft that might go earlier had we seen him live, seen him in tournaments all year. So I think obviously we understand the difficult situation that they're going through, but we were really excited to get Mikhail where we got him.
Can you just give us your scouting report on Jaeger and then the 5 players you took today?
Yeah, for sure. Braden, we see him as a really smart, intelligent 200-foot center. Really good release on his shot. This year he focused more on his 200-foot game, like I said. He had the drop in goals from his 16-year-old year to a 17-year-old year, but his assists went up. So I think he's added more option and playmaking into his game. And like I said, just really put a lot of time and effort into playing on both sides of the puck. So we see him as a really good 200-foot player that is going to be a guy that can play in all situations, power play, penalty kill, obviously 5-on-5 minutes as well. Emil Pieniniemi from Finland, good size, range, moves well, really good with the puck, smart, gets you out of your end, clean, transition game is very good, and the size to go with that, we were really excited where we got him. Sorry, I'm just refreshing myself on Mikhail. Like we talked about, Mikhail we view as a really smart 200-foot center as well. Makes a lot of plays, pass-first mindset, but he's really diligent with and without the puck, and I think he's one of those guys that makes those around him better, makes his wingers better, and just a really smart player with and without it. Cooper Foster played in Ottawa this year. Kind of a guy that was maybe lower in the lineup for the Ottawa 67s, but we feel as he turns into his 18-year-old year and his 19-year-old year, and there's more opportunity presented to him. Same thing, we really liked his sense on both sides of the puck, and then we feel that there's skill and offensive production that are untapped at this time, and as more opportunity comes his way, that he'll be able to take advantage of it. And then Emil Arventi, undersized winger, offensive-minded, can really shoot the puck, and really good in the offensive zone. I think for him it's going to be about rounding out the other parts of his game, but we felt that the point where we got him that it was good to take a chance on a guy that had offensive instincts and an offensive part of his game that we were really attracted to. And then Callie Kangas, big defenseman, extremely hard to play against. Skating is going to need to improve. He can move the puck, and he's hard to play against, so he's one of those guys that makes it hard on the other team. So obviously, summarizing all those players, a lot of different types of players, but I think we were really excited looking at our draft class now that we were happy with all the picks that we were able to make.
Going back to Bradens, what was it about his character that stood out to you guys?
Awesome kid. Like Dan McLean in the West spent a lot of time with him throughout the year. And Dan, obviously the player we were really excited about, but his character from day one of this draft was something that Dan had always talked about. Very driven kid off the ice, very respectful kid. And then when you kind of pair that with his on-ice game, it was, someone that we were really, really attracted to. funny story actually about Braden is at the NHL Combine, we took Braden out to dinner. The night before we took Braden out to dinner, Braden got food poisoning at the NHL Combine. We told Braden and Braden's agent the next morning, the night of our dinner, Braden doesn't have to come to dinner. We totally understand if he's not feeling all right. We're not expecting him to come out to dinner. We can reschedule it for a different time. But Braden was insistent that he come to dinner, spend time with us, let us get to know him. I think it would have been easy for him to say no, let's do it a different time. And again, we didn't expect him to meet with us that night, but kind of tells you the type of kid he is and how driven and speaks volumes about the kid's character for sure.
How, if anything?
You want to go around?
No, go ahead.
But when you look at the last 3 drafts in totality and what you've been able to add in those drafts, I guess just how do you kind of feel big picture about the work you've been able to do to address the farm system in the last 3 drafts?
Yeah, well, this is only my second draft. But I think, obviously I can speak on the last 3 drafts. I know some of those players, but, we haven't had a lot of picks. So I think, I understand and I know all the amateur scouts understand if the team feels like that the window's still open and we want to, make a run with our core guys still at the level that they're playing at in Pittsburgh. We certainly understand that. So we, haven't had a lot of picks, but I think that we're extremely happy with the players that we've been able to select with the limited picks that we've had.
With Kyle coming in, what was it like? What were the sort of instructions? How involved was he? And did anything at all change about what you look for a Penguin?
No, I don't think so. I think, he came in late in the process, or, there wasn't a ton of time before the draft. I'm sure there's going to be some things to be discussed after the draft in terms of how we want to approach going into next year with the draft. But Kyle was really good to us in the short amount of time that we've been able to spend with him, and encouraging us. One thing is taking swings, trying to hit a home run. Kyle's, he's the first one to tell us, guys, I understand, and girls, how difficult the draft is, and so he knows how difficult this process is. But when he encourages you to take some swings and to take some chances on some players that have a high offensive ceiling, that's good advice for us, because it kind of helps us make decisions on our list in terms of getting this guy ahead of that guy or that guy ahead of that guy. So just little things like that have been really helpful for us. And I'm just, really excited to continue to learn from Kyle, and I speak for the whole group.
Nick, is there... I'm sorry, go.
Your picks today were heavily from Finland. Is there anything unique about how Finnish players develop compared to the other European leagues or even North America?
Not really. I just think that that's kind of how it shook out. I think if you look at a lot of the Finnish players playing in the NHL right now, they're all really competitive players. Not all of them, but I think that's a common trait that Finnish players have, is they're extremely competitive and really good people, humble people, down-to-earth people. But I don't think that we went into it saying we had to take 3 Finnish players. It's just kind of the way that it shook out.
How many of the prospects from this class do you expect to come to the development camp?
I expect, Mikhail, I don't believe will be coming to development camp. Braden will be coming. Emil will be coming. Cooper Foster will be coming. Emil Yarventi and Kalle Kangas, when I walked over here, that was still up for discussion if we were going to be able to get them over for development camp or not.
We heard a lot about how deep this draft was. Now that it's done, how did you see that as evidence of that?
Can you?
Well, we just heard it was a very deep draft. People wanted to hold on to their picks, even like the first round, but even into like the second and third and fourth round. Like, did you, when you were done with your evaluation, like, was it as deep as you sort of expected in terms of talent?
Yeah, I think it was. I think that's fair to say. I think there was, obviously we didn't have a second round pick, but there was a few players that were still available in the second round that we had as first round picks. And another team might say differently, but I do think that we felt that there was still a a lot of good players on the board in the second round and the third round that we were really high on, and so I do think that that's fair to say it is a deeper draft there.